Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the roll. Lanaya Bates. All right. Adiva Brown. Tiki Brown. Trenton Brown.
Here.
Jalen Chambers. Talandria Dodd.
Here.
Jay Downs.
Here.
Jasmine Dudley. Todd Ford. Ataya Harris. Sydney Hatmaker.
Here.
Okay. Lucina Hazel. Or China Hazel. Justice Hope.
Here.
Caressa Johnson. Vaughn Johnson. Jalen Long. Shy McFadden.
Here.
Brandon Merritt. LaStacia Miller. Elliot Moore. Taylor Moore. I see you in the corner.
Here.
Aaron Orr. I think that's you, yeah.
Hi, I'm here.
Already got you. Cole Parks. All right,
Yeah.
got you. Bria Pearson, I see you up there. Gloria Pereza. Nope. Tatiana Philomar.
Here.
Okay. Genevieve, got you.
Here.
Mackenzie Richards. Parrish Rippey. Naisha Ruffin. Serenity Sanders. Serenity Sanders. Jasmine Dudley. No, what did I say? I said, I'm sorry, Jasmine Smith. Jasmine Smith. Nope. Okay. Jalen Thompson. Stacia Tyson.
Here.
All right. Jeremy Vick. Clarence Washington. Erica Watlington.
I'm here.
Jaden Williams. Nope. Latia Williams. And Zaria Woodford. Okay, I think we're good. All right. I'm still in the process of grading the writing assignments. I want to have them to you tonight at some point in time. So let me get through those. Right now, I'm still checking to see who all has turned them in and who hasn't. I'll probably I wanted to do that before class today. I was trying to finish up doing that actually as I started the class, but essentially trying to I don't want to talk about the paper until I'm assured that I don't want to have anybody. I want to already have marked who's turned them in and who hasn't. So when I talk about it, I already know who didn't turn it in time. So, but I mean, it's via email, so I'll know when you send it. So I'll go ahead and talk about it in a minute. See you, Todd Ford. Somebody else came in late too. I think I missed the name. Kelly Johnson. Vaughn Johnson.
Thank you.
Vaughn Johnson and Todd Ford. I got you. All right. Okay. Did everyone look at the Chapter 6 lecture? Everybody look at it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see. That was about parties to crime and vicarious liability. So essentially, it's teaching you the difference between what they call principals and accessories, and accomplices, of course. So, of course, at common law, we had different rules than what we have today. Essentially, today we have principals and accessories. Accessories are those who assist after the crime, who are essentially, there's accessories and there's accessories after the fact. Accessories after the fact are those who assist after a crime has been committed. Essentially, I'm sorry. Mackenzie Richards, I got you. But they're essentially trying to what they call it, assist the perpetrator in getting away, or what we call obstructing justice. That's essentially what an accessory after the fact is now in modern today. Of course, accomplices are those who are partnered in the crime. Essentially, they're part of the crime itself. So I just wanted you guys to know the difference. Of course, the book, and of course, in my lecture, I talk a little bit more about the difference. I think here's CJ. So all right, that was essentially chapter 6, and it also talks about vicarious liability situations where someone can get in trouble or be responsible for the actions. My bad. Can be held responsible for the actions of another. So we talked about those situations as well. So normally that's when a person has a special relationship to the actor or the person that commits an offense. So normally dealing with the relationship that a parent has with the child may cause the parent to be held criminally liable for whatever the child does. You have employer-employee situations where someone that is an employee does something and now we're holding the employer accountable for the actions of the employee. So that's what vicarious liability is talking about. So when we talk about living vicariously through someone, we're talking about living through someone else's shoes. So just remember that's what vicarious liability means, essentially being in trouble for what someone else did. But it's based upon your relationship with that person. I won't go over it. Hold on. I won't beat that dead horse anymore. Keep going over it. You guys have the lecture, so please read the chapter. And not only do I want you to read the chapter, but also listen to my lecture, and you should be fine. As I say during my lectures, make sure you guys go to the website for the book. Was that understood? Could everybody tell what I was showing you or see the website for the book?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, just go on the website do the chapter reviews. It'll give you like an outline of each chapter so you can know what each chapter talked about. And then you can do the multiple choice question they have multiple choice, like a little quiz for each chapter. For this course, I can definitely tell you that I literally ripped a lot of the I ripped a lot of those questions. Well, actually not all of the questions, but that's where all of the questions that I use, I got from there. So as long as you hold on, people keep coming in. So as long as you go on that website and you've done every multiple choice question for every chapter review, by the time you get to the exam, you're going to see questions again. You're going to run into questions that you've seen before. Cheeky Brown. So that's how that works. So that's how I'm trying to help you guys maximize your grade in this class. So I know everyone probably doesn't have the book. It's one reason why I allowed you guys to get multiple editions of the book. I was cool with you getting the first edition because I think, as a matter of fact, which is criminal law. As a matter of fact, I actually, when I'm giving my lectures, I'm usually lecturing from the second edition of the book. So and I like the way the second edition is organized. I like the way the second edition gives you like the brief rundown of each chapter where it talks about the main points. So sometimes it could actually keep you from having to worry about worried about reading the whole chapter sometimes. You can kind of go through it briefly. But I know everyone doesn't have the book. So that's always just a foregone conclusion. Everybody doesn't always have the book for the class. The reason I gave you guys that website is that even though you don't have the book, you can still use the online resources to know just as much as someone that has the book. You may not necessarily be able to read the material, but you can at least go through the outlines and learn the key points of each chapter. And having access to that website gives you access to the same questions that everyone has and that are going to be on my exams. So all it requires is a little bit of outside class work. Just go on there for each chapter. You don't have to do all the chapters at one time. Matter of fact, I would advise you not do that. If you're kind of going with the flow of how we're going through the syllabus, We're just on chapter 6 now, right? So if you've just done 1 through 6, that means you're good. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't, you might be able to copy it, because that's what I did. I copy and pasted the questions I wanted to use. So you can copy and paste the questions to a separate Word document or something, and actually check off, or, once you figure out what you missed and what you got right and wrong, and you can do that as well, you'll have the answers to all the questions. So that's just my way of, that's the reason I like the Sage Publication textbooks, because the Sage Publication textbooks actually, they have they have great online resources. So there's a lot of stuff that I can send my students to a website, to the book's website, and they can really learn. They have a lot of stuff going on their website. So that's why I like their textbooks, because I can send you guys out to get more information. And if I'm not understandable, at least I know I can direct you to the book's website, and you may get it the way the book talks about it. So never had that complaint about not being understandable, but just in case, I want to give you guys multiple means of learning in this class. So like I said, we talked about chapter 6, parties to crime and vicarious liability. Now let's talk about the writing assignment. Of course, if you haven't turned it in by now, that's it. You only have one shot. So that 10 points down the drain if you didn't do it. You could always make it up. Of course, we have their extra credit questions on my midterm and the final, which are worth an additional 5 points each. Also, I'll probably extend the opportunity to do an extra credit essay close to the end of the semester for those people that that might have missed an assignment. Also, for all my people that want to go to law school, I would highly advise that you write for me every opportunity you get. So technically, we only have 2 opportunities for you guys to write for me this semester. There's the first writing assignment and second writing assignment. If I do extend the offer to of extra credit to you guys, it's going to be another essay. I will want you guys, if you want to go to law school, you need to write for someone that can grade law school writing, and someone that's been there, so I can give you a critique of what you need to improve on, and what's good and what's bad, essentially. I don't want to send you guys out. You guys that are interested in law school, I don't want to send you guys out there and you haven't been assessed, because there are 2 very important things that you have to do. You cannot get around doing in law school. One is reading. Now, of course, this is just a text. Our textbooks now are like, undergrad basic textbooks. There is reading that do have cases, and it's good to read those cases for you guys, but it's not necessarily the same type of reading that's going to be required of you in law school. In law school, the reading is going to be that it's just cases. It's a whole bunch of cases in the book. Then at the end of each section or the end of each case, they might have some notes and questions. They might have citations that take you to another case that might help teach you an exception to the rule you learned from this case. So you're going to have to learn how to read and read critically. And what I mean critically, be able to realize what's important and what isn't by reading. And then so you're going to have to read, and then you're also going to have to write. So that essay the essay format I taught you guys, IRAC and CRAC, that is super important in law school. Because you're not just going to give an answer. You need to give your answer, state the rule of law you use to get to your answer, and then apply the facts that are given in a hypothetical to the rule of law to determine what the answer is and why. So you're essentially telling us what you're talking about, either what the issue is or what your contention is. You're stating the rule of law, the rationale that you're applying to come to that contention or to answer the issue. Then you're talking about, then you're pulling out, you're extracting the specific facts from the hypothetical, and you're applying it to that rule of law to tell us, in other words, is this the same or is it different? So you're going to analogize and distinguish in your, we call it the analysis section. And that's where you really run those facts through the mill, through the rule, to see if they come out on the other side and see what happens. So it's going to essentially yes or no answer. And of course, that's how you conclude at the end by stating what your contention is or what your final answer is. Is it or is it not, or whatever. So that's legal writing. So that's literally how you're going to be writing for 3 years of law school. So for you guys that are interested in that, anybody interested in law school, and I probably asked the question before but couldn't remember. And I know you guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's very important. You guys need to write for the at the end of the semester when the extra credit comes around, you guys need to do it. I can't force you to do it, but you should do it because I only get 2 opportunities to critique you guys and prepare you guys. So of course, because especially now with the pandemic, I don't have a lot of in-person time. You know, I have office hours. I'll come over if need be. But before I was just on campus anyway. This would normally be a 6 o'clock class. I would probably be on campus around 4 o'clock or so in my office. If you need to talk or run something by me or ask me a question, I'm there. It's just different. I can still do that via email, but it's different than just being there in person where I can literally point something out to you and tell you what you need to improve on or kind of give you the rundown of what you need and what skills you need to get better at. To really be a great law student. So it's hard to do that now. So I really only have two grading opportunities. That's writing assignment 1 and writing assignment 2. So I gave as much guidance as I could. Of course, I'm not giving you guys the answer before it's due. So you guys have to kind of do that yourselves. But so it's hard for me to assess what you need and what you don't need if I have my hands on you at all times, right? I have to kind of let you go and let you answer the question, do the essay, and then I give feedback. So that feedback from this first essay, and so in semesters before, it's been this essay. When I use this essay question, it's normally something that trips a lot of people up. I've actually changed a little bit in the essay from semester to semester to make it less hard. You guys probably have the easiest version of this essay question. But it's still, I chose it because I felt like it was a little bit challenging. It's going to challenge your ability to read critically. So I wanted to challenge that. So a lot of people get tripped up and get the wrong answer because they weren't reading carefully enough. And then, of course, if you're not reading the textbook and don't know the rule of law, you're definitely going to get it wrong because it's something. And I actually spent more time specifically talking about what this question was about. And I definitely went over that rule of law, that body of law, to make sure you guys got it and to make sure I taught it over, at least a couple times. I repeated myself. So when it was time for you to have this question in front of you, it would be easier to answer. So I want to give you guys the best opportunity to get the right answer. Even if necessary, so you can get the right answer, but your writing may not be great, so you can still not make the best grade, but at least puts you in a more advantageous situation without me giving you the answer. So let me pull the question up. Got it somewhere. One moment, let me pull it up. Yes, Aaron, I'm about to give the answer now.
Thank you, because I was over here struggling. I had the hardest time writing this paper.
We got you. Hold on. Let me pull up. All right. Let me see. Criminal. Make sure I'm pulling the right one. Hold on. I know what I'll do. I'll go to the question itself. Hold on. Come on now, internets. Hurry up. Laptop slowing down a little bit. Hold on, here it goes. All right, there we go. Y'all still there, right?
Yep, still here. I'm waiting for my answer.
Yes.
All right, hold on. Trying to. My computer doesn't like me surfing the internet while I'm on Zoom. I guess it's a little bit slow, but I'm almost there. All right, y'all ready? Let's talk. I'm gonna read it out. In 2010, the United States Army base at Fort Bragg was attacked by Japan. This was a day that would forever live in infamy because it was the day that marked the beginning of World War III. Shortly thereafter, the United States officially declared war on Japan. Due to growing concerns regarding military intelligence leaks and alleged espionage, the U.S. House and Senate unanimously voted and enacted the Protect This House Act, which was signed and made law by President Don Cornelius in 2011. The Protect This House Act placed a living proximity limitation on all Asian immigrants. It stated that it was illegal for any citizen or non-citizen of Asian descent to reside within a 30-mile radius of any federal government building, U.S. military base, or any enumerated classified military area. Violation of this restriction would result in arrest and either automatic deportation or encampment at a villa at the luxurious Guantanamo Bay for the duration of the war. Korean immigrant Fyuk Yu moved to the United States in 2008 and has residing in a lavish house on Bragg Boulevard in Fayetteville, North Carolina, since his arrival in the United States. Fayetteville is the city that houses the previously attacked Fort Bragg Army base. Fyuk's house is located directly across the street from Fort Bragg. On January 1st, 2012, while the United States was still in the midst of war with Japan, Fyuk was on his porch rolling dice with Ashy Larry, Grits and Gravy, and Leonard Washington. Ashy Larry was angered by his loss of money and the fact that his homies were picking at his ashy elbows. So he left the dice game and went to the military police department to snitch on Fyuk and tell the authorities that he was a Korean immigrant living across the street from Fort Bragg. In response to this information, the military police executed a valid search warrant and arrested Fyuk Yu on violation of the Protect This House Act. At trial, Fyuk was convicted for his violation and sentenced to confinement in the luxurious Guantanamo Bay. Fyuk Yu's legal team appealed his conviction to the United States Supreme Court on the grounds that the Protect This House Act violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution and is therefore unconstitutional. Should the Supreme Court affirm or overturn Fyuk Yu's conviction based upon the constitutionality of the Protect This House Act, please use prior Supreme Court precedent and the equal protection analysis to rationalize your response to this question. So that is the question, right? Y'all still there?
Yeah.
Yep, we're here.
Yes.
All right. The answer. Hold on, let Miss Perez in. I know you ready for the answer, ain't you, Miss Orr? She ready over there. She's excited. But the answer is that the law is unconstitutional. And it's unconstitutional because you apply the strict scrutiny test. Now, does anybody recognize the facts in this case, or remember these facts being similar to any other case that we've talked about?
Yeah, it was Korematsu versus United States.
Korematsu, right?
Yeah, that's the one I used to.
Yeah. So with the reason this question makes you have to read carefully.
Apparently, because I definitely thought it was constitutional.
So,
As did I, Miss Watlington.
And you were applying the standard or the same rationale that was used in Korematsu, right?
That, but also I used the Constitution. Like I used the 14th Amendment and the 5th to support my answer.
Well, the 14th Amendment and 5th Amendment, those are the same. So that's the equal protection analysis when you apply the strict scrutiny. So remember I gave you guys kind of a what do you call it? Trying to remember what I call it. When you're analyzing something, you kind of have you ask yourself questions. I can't remember what we call them, but so the first question you ask yourself is, does this question, does this body of law, the body of law we're talking about is Protect This House Act. So essentially the question is about whether or not that act is constitutional or not, right? So in answering that question, if we're applying the equal protection analysis, and I did make the question easier because I kind of told you what to do. I told you to apply it. So, in law school, they wouldn't have told us what to apply. It just would have been a question and we would have had to figure it out. In applying applying the equal protection analysis, the first thing you do is ask yourself, does this law differentiate or does it classify people? And it does, right? It treated people differently based upon what?
The race, right? Like
race or their nationality.
Right, yeah.
Once you figure out that it treats people differently or classifies based upon something, then you ask what it classifies based upon. It classifies based upon race or nationality. Then once we figure out what it classifies, how it classifies, then we determine what level of scrutiny we apply. Of course, what level of scrutiny do we apply to any law that classifies people based upon race or nationality? You want to answer that? Strict scrutiny. So that means the law must be narrowly tailored and the least restrictive means of meeting or accomplishing a compelling government interest. So remember, I talked about it in my lecture and even in the Zoom class. I said, when we talk about narrowly tailored, that means is it well written to meet that goal, to meet that compelling government interest. So in other words, does the means justify the ends? Or does the means justify or even match with the ends? So if you're reading now, to read this hypothetical carefully, the first thing you see is, of course, we're at war with who?
Japan.
So then
I know what you got to say, Professor Boyce.
You said what?
I got a feeling that I know what you got to say.
So So we're at war with Japan. So we're at war with Japan, and then the hold on, Miss Deli trying to get back in. Then once we're at war with Japan, then the Senate they pass Protect This House Act, which says we're going to restrict all Asians. That's a pretty wide group of people, right? So we're just going to exclude all Asians and put living restrictions on Asians, not Japanese people, but Asians. Then you have Mr. Yu, Mr. And I got the name, so I don't want you to think I'm being vulgar. But if y'all ever watched the Dave Chappelle show, I know it's a classic that came out like 03. You guys need to catch it, the old episodes, but it's very funny. All those were characters from one of his skits. But Mr. Yu was from where? What's his nationality?
North Korea, right?
Yeah, he's Korean. He's not Japanese, right?
Yeah.
He's
Right.
not Japanese. So you have to ask the question: is this law narrowly tailored to meet this compelling government interest? So in this situation, if you want to use the rationale they use in Korematsu, in the Korematsu case, they said, of course, it was narrowly tailored because that law just restricted Japanese people. Because of course that was Japan that bombed us in the real World War II. So they put the living restrictions on just Japanese immigrants, not everybody from Asia. And then not only that, the court found that it was a compelling interest in protecting the government protecting itself from espionage during the time of war. So it's a matter of national security.
Cute. Like I did mine like based off espionage too. So I was like, I feel like he was violating that. But
Well,
I guess
he based upon the law, he was violating it. But the question is whether or not the law itself was even constitutional. So
okay,
we know
so that's like
we know that. So we know that the interest that the government is trying to protect is a compelling interest. Of course, it's national security. So the Supreme Court, just like they did in Korematsu, would say, okay, yeah, the government has to do what it has to do to protect itself during times of national security, right? But then we talk about the first part of the strict scrutiny analysis, and we say, is the law narrowly tailored and the least restrictive means of meeting that government interest? So when we say narrowly tailored, we talk about how it's written. And in other words, does it, when we talk about narrowly tailored and least restrictive, does it pinpoint exactly what the government is trying to protect itself from in this situation? So if we're at war with Japan, don't you think they're painting with a very wide brush when they're making it illegal for all Asians? That's not very narrowly tailored, right? And then not only that, the guy that got arrested wasn't even from Japan. So he wasn't even an immigrant of the place that bombed and was fighting America. So you see so that shows how when the government enacts laws that paint with a wide brush, you see how people that aren't even involved or aren't even living illegally can now be essentially arrested and be tried and found guilty because there's this overreaching or too broad of a law that's not narrowly tailored enough. So the Protect This House Act is unconstitutional because it is not narrowly tailored. So it's not narrowly tailored, and it's not the least restrictive means. Even though it is a compelling government interest, it's not the least restrictive means, and it's not narrowly tailored. Is that so, Ms. Tyson? Is that what you thought I was going to say?
Yep.
So you see how in this question it was all about your reading. So if Japan attacked us, we can't make a law that says all Asian people now can't live near us. Now, if there was a law, if we were going to apply the Korematsu standard, we could have a law that says all Japanese immigrants that we have to place a living restriction on them, but we just can't say all of Asia. That's a whole continent, right? India, a whole bunch of people live in Asia that ain't Japanese. Japan probably one of the smaller countries in Asia. You got China, you got Korea, you got Indonesia. All this stuff that's not Japan. So to all of a sudden say now we're going to restrict all Asians, all Asian immigrants, that is painting with the wide brush. and that's why it's not narrowly tailored. So is the rationale for the answer? Do you understand? Everyone get an understanding of why you either got it right or you got it wrong. I haven't graded everyone yet.
Okay. I understand why I got it wrong, but what I'm not understanding is how, like, we're supposed to have 3 examples to prove that when there was only Korematsu. Like, now I have a better understanding of, like, where I was misunderstanding, but it's like I don't understand how we were supposed to, like, prove that. So, yeah.
Well, with Korematsu, if you look at it case for case, right? Korematsu, you had Japan bombed America, and America made a law where it was an executive order by President Roosevelt that created living restrictions on Japanese immigrants and Japanese Americans. So it specified who. It didn't say all of Asia. It just said Japanese Americans. So that's why in this writing assignment, I made sure to say we were fighting Japan. So I told you who exactly we were fighting. Then I made a law that painted with the wide brush all of Asia. And then the person that actually got arrested for violating the law had nothing to do with Japan. He was Korean, right? So that's the difference in Korematsu. Now, looking back on the history of the Supreme Court and how that Supreme Court ruling is looked at in history, it's deemed to be one of the most racist things that the Supreme Court ever did, even though it was, they found the law to be constitutional. In history, that Supreme Court, those 9 justices aren't, they're not looked at very well. They did what they did, but they're like, that wasn't the Supreme Court's best time. Not a whole bunch of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's on that court, right? They're not as, and the matter of fact, even in the dissenting opinion, one of the dissenting justices even said that. He said, "This is racism. I'll have nothing to do with it. I dissent." That was actually his opinion, and that actually his dissent was used in future cases, and that's why Supreme Court justices write dissenting and concurring opinions, so they want everyone to know why they ruled the way they ruled. So in the future, you might be able to use their rationale to maybe overturn a case. So Korematsu wasn't exactly the most shining moment for the United States Supreme Court, but it did what it did, and it did what it did because of the situation. We had just been bombed by Japan. That was the first time we were attacked on our own soil since the Revolutionary War. Other than the Civil War, but of course that was us fighting us. But that was the only, the Revolutionary War and then the War of 1812. So that had been a very long time, over 100 years, 130 something years since we'd been attacked on our own soil. So for that to happen, it's like, whoa. So the country was in the uproar, and it literally happened on a Sunday afternoon. Nobody was ready, and they just bombed Hawaii. So at that point, the government's like, yo, we got to protect ourselves. If we have, millions of Japanese immigrants here in the country, let's just make sure they're not sneaking to our bases, getting information and sending it back across the water, or, giving out our secrets to make us vulnerable. So that's why the Supreme Court said there is a compelling interest. And of course, in the Korematsu case, you can say it's narrowly tailored because it was only directed at Japanese immigrants. So that's why I wanted this hypothetical to sound a whole lot like Korematsu. But I also wanted to test your ability to read and to catch the differences, and there were differences. And that's why I said before, this was more of a test of your reading. So even though you didn't get it right, Miss, anyone that didn't get it right, so it's Miss Orr, I'm thinking is not the only one that didn't get it right. I know I'm only talking like 3 people here tonight, but even with that, it doesn't mean you're not going to get a good grade, because remember I told you getting it right is only worth 2 points, right? So getting it right is only worth 2 points. There's still, of course you turned it in, so you got that 2 points. We know you got at least 2. You just didn't get that second 2 points for getting it right. So then there's 6 more points on the table for your writing structure, and also whether or not you at least apply the correct rule. So if you at least explain to me strict scrutiny and how it applies to this case, even though you got the wrong answer, letting me know you were in the ballpark with the rationale and apply the right rule is still going to get you those 3 points. So if you're, can y'all hear me? I know it says my internet connection tripping.
I can hear you now.
Okay. Could you hear all the other stuff I said?
No,
Yeah.
not really.
Oh, y'all couldn't? I just talked for nothing?
Like, I mean, I heard up until you were like, if you used the little scrutiny thing, then it was just like out for a second.
And did anybody else not hear me? I was just talking to myself. I'm getting tired. This Zoom stuff getting on my nerves, man.
I heard you, Attorney. Yeah,
Okay.
I heard you.
All right. So what I'll do, I'm gonna post this so you'll see it. But like I said, just because you didn't get the right answer does not mean that you're not gonna get a good grade. Who's that? Jay joining 614. I got you. Who's that? Jalen Chambers. Is that you? That sent me
Yes.
Okay, I got you. Hold on. Yeah, so just and Miss Philomar, I think I got you. I got you already, right? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So you get the 2 points for turning it in, then there are 2 points for getting the right answer. So remember, getting the right answer is only worth 2 points. Now I don't want you guys to want to go to law school thinking that getting the right answer is only worth 2 points. So in law school, it's going to be a little bit harder. You need to get the right answer too, and you need to do all that writing stuff right. You're not going to get 2 points for turning it in either. So, but for here you get 2 points for turning it in, 2 points for getting the right answer. Then you have a whole 6 points left for writing structure and applying the correct rule, or at least being in the ballpark. Because sometimes you can apply the correct rule. Normally, if you apply the correct rule, you'll get it right. But sometimes, in this case, you can apply the correct rule, but if you miss something in your fact hypothetical, you'll apply it incorrectly. So, Miss Orr, you sounds like you applied the correct rule. You just missed something small in the facts in your reading. And that's kind of why I put it there to test whether or not you guys were gonna be quick enough to catch that trick. And so it was kind of a trick, So I'm not gonna give you straightforward essays. I want to test you guys a little bit to see how you guys are reading. First to see whether you guys are listening, and then also to see whether you're gonna catch that stuff. Say again. Hello.
You sound like a robot. I couldn't hear anything you said.
You hear none of that?
Your connection's going out.
Dang. Zoom stuff's getting on my nerves, man. Hold up. All right. Let me go back to the back. Is it getting better now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
That's cause in the front, kind of away from my modem. All right. So that's better. Okay. So what did you not hear? Dang, I just wasted. I'm trying to get up off here by 7. What did you not hear? What was the last thing y'all heard me say? Now you sound like a robot here. Hello, Aaron. Now you sound like a robot.
It was just like that last little part that you were saying.
Okay. Yeah, just about the writing. Of course, 2 points for turning it in. 2 points for getting the correct answer, and then the remaining 6 points is for your writing structure. In other words, you write clearly and have good writing structure, and then the last 3 points is for actually applying the correct rule. So in this case, you could have applied the correct rule, but of course, if you didn't, you could still come out with the wrong answer if you didn't catch everything in the facts to help you come out with the right answer. So writing the perfect essay, not just for me. This isn't about me. I'm not giving you things that are just about my personal preferences as a grader. I'm talking about just writing in general, especially essay writing, legal essay writing in general. So you guys have to find a way. That's why when you're doing essays, reading and writing are both important. They're not what would I call it, mutually exclusive. I mean, you need them both. So you need to be able to read and catch things in your reading, and you need to be able to put things, organize your writing, and be able to reduce things to writing and put it on paper. So you kind of have to be decent at both to do well. So it's not just about, okay, figuring out the law, what's right or what's wrong, and writing it a certain way, but also make sure that you catch the things in the facts. That's why your analysis portion is so important. Because your analysis portion is where you talk about those specific facts from the hypothetical that I give you, and tell me why or why not. And that forces you to have to read the essay prompt multiple times. So you never just read one time and start writing. You read one time to kind of get the gist of what's going on. Then you read again to make sure you got it and see and kind of figure out what you're going to apply. And then you start reading again to kind of figure out, okay, what is important. Because I just read the essay prompt to you, right? And there was a lot of stuff in there. I talked about Snitcher Snooky and Ashy Larry, or not Snitcher Snooky. I think Ashy. That's another essay. I talked about Ashy Larry going to snitch, right? And a lot of that stuff wasn't necessarily important. I even told you, just to make sure I kept you guys on the right path, I told you that they had a valid search warrant. Everything was valid when they arrested. So that wasn't a question. And this isn't that class anyway. This isn't criminal procedure. So we're not talking about the constitutionality of police action and arrest. We're just talking about the constitutionality of a law itself. So there are a lot of facts in there that are kind of, some things are fillers, some things are important to keep you on the right path. And then other things I put in fact hypotheticals are to kind of be like, not to mix you up or throw you off, but they're just fillers, and they can throw you off if you let them. But they were very important facts. Like I started off telling you that we were at war with Japan. Then I wrote a couple times that the Protect This House Act restricts the living, it puts living restrictions on all Asian immigrants. Then I said, Mr. Fyuk Yu is a Korean immigrant. So the first thing I told you is that he's a Korean immigrant that's been living near Fort Bragg since before the war. So I put all that in there. So there were certain facts that were important, like when he's already there, right? Not that doesn't matter that much, but and then I told you he's Korean. He's not Japanese. So those things you got to catch in determining whether not this law is constitutional or not. Now, what I would say, this is for that reason, the fact that it's testing or reading and you kind of have to be quick. This was a challenging start to the essays. Now, I will say the essays from here on out get easier. It's only one more, and then there's the extra credit essay is hard. Because the extra credit, I ain't gonna make that easy. But essay number 2 or writing assignment number 2, which will be posted. You guys got like a month or so for that, so you're good. But that's not gonna be as hard or as tricky as this one. So it sounds like you guys might have, right now people are missing 2 points, right? Some are, some aren't. But even if you're missing 2 points, of course, there are 8 more points left, so you can still do well. It's just this is going to teach you a lesson to make sure you read carefully, okay? Are there any other questions before we log up out of here?
Yeah, can I after class? Like after this is done?
Who's that, Miss
Okay.
Watlington?
Yes.
Okay, and Miss Tyson. Go ahead, Miss Tyson.
Okay, so I had a question about I forget how it goes, but it was the rule of legality, and is it ex post facto laws or something like that?
Yeah, that wouldn't apply here because they're not retroactively. Okay. So, ex post facto laws, when they make an act, when they retroactively make an act, an act you take illegal. So something you've already done, and then they go back and say, well, now it's illegal, so now we're going to come back and punish you for something you've already done, even though it was legal when you did it. So in this case, that doesn't apply because he was still living across the street from the base, right? So it's a living restriction. So he was in the act of living and residing right across from a military base. So it was not ex post facto. So it's not like he lived there and then moved, and then they were like, now we're going to come get you because you used to live there. That would be ex post facto.
Oh, so if he would have moved and like if the friend would have been like he used to live here, that would have been different.
That would be an ex post facto. So it's not so
I
ex
was not
ex
thinking
post
about that. I was
said
just thinking about that, but I didn't know how to apply it for real because I didn't know how.
yeah. So here it was about the equal protection and the fifth amendment equal protection analysis. All right. Any other questions? All right.
Hey,
If there
this is Jaden.
See, I graded.
Hey Jay, how you doing?
Good. How about you? I have a question about the writing format. If you would, could I email you on the side and ask about that?
That's fine. That's fine. Go ahead and do that.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Attorney Boyce,
Yes, ma'am.
can I also ask you a question after this?
Certainly.
Okay.
All right. Let me go get my roll to make sure I got everybody. Hold on. All right. Before let you guys go, is there anyone that needed to check to make sure they were on the roll for the night? Anybody not sure?
Lanaya Bates.
I got you, Lanaya.
Zaria
Woodford. I got you now.
Tiki Brown.
Tiki Brown, I got you.
Gloria Peraza.
I got you now, Gloria. Anyone else? Hello? Anyone else? We good?
Mackenzie Richards.
Let me see. Yep, I got you.
Jaden Williams.
I got you, Jaden.
Yeah, Cole Parks.
Oh, yeah, I got you early on, Cole. What's your last name, Cole?
Parks.
Yeah, I got you, Cole.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're good.
Clarence Washington said something in the chat too.
Yeah, I got CJ. Cause I saw him when he signed on. I got you, Clarence. All right. Well, you guys can go ahead and log out. Anybody wants to stay and ask some follow-up questions, you're free to stay on, and or even if you want to hear the answer to the follow-up questions, you're free to stay on. Who had a follow-up question?
I did.
Go ahead, Ms. Watlington.
I was gonna ask, first I wanted to make sure that you did get my paper because I did email it to you. Was there a link that we were supposed to put it in?
No, just email it. You're just supposed to email it directly to my BJ Boyce. Let me check.
Because I missed the other Zoom. My connection was going crazy. But I did see it on YouTube. I did watch it there.
Yeah, I got you, Miss Watlington.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Is it Poole? It says Erica Poole.
Well, I'm married now, so that's
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we got you then.
But the second question was, so I know I got I got the answer wrong, and I understand why I got it wrong now. Like you explained it pretty detailed to where I understand why I got it wrong or how I got it wrong. But I mentioned how like it wasn't. How am I trying to say this? I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I guess what I'm trying to say is like even if we didn't talk about the how it was supposed to be like narrowed down, like it was supposed to be a very specific type of law before it could be constitutional. You couldn't just make it, like broad like that. I kind of touched on that, but I didn't exactly touch on that. So that would,
So if you at least stated the rule itself, if you talked about what strict scrutiny is, what it applies to, what the verbiage of strict scrutiny is, which is narrowly tailored, and the least restrictive means of meeting a compelling government interest. If you say that and even go a little bit into that, you would. So it sounds like you will probably get a good credit for at least stating the rule the right way. So your only issue, it sounds like, is that you didn't catch all the facts that would have helped you to answer the question correctly.
yeah, but I didn't say the rule neither though. I didn't even think about the rule, honestly. I don't
of
know why.
strict scrutiny.
Yeah.
So I mean, you might take so if you at least applied it or said something in the ballpark, you probably won't get all 3 points taken.
Okay.
But there'll be some points taken. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're not gonna get no 0. You're gonna be all right. So
Okay.
yeah,
All
you
right.
gonna
I figured I'll probably get an L on this one, but the next one will be all right.
and honestly, for my writing, and this for everyone that's left over, when you write for me, and anyone if you talk to anyone that's had my class before, in my substantive classes before, that's procedure or law, which you guys are in now, very few people don't take L's in my writing because you guys are being exposed to something that, in your other classes you're not exposed to. So there's a difference between essay writing and then writing a term paper or some type of research paper. This is persuasive essay writing, and you guys
This was
don't.
very, very different.
Very, very different, right? So
Yeah.
I'm giving you a set of facts, and I'm telling you to answer the question. Apply the law, answer the question, and you have to do it. And the crazy thing about it, and I know I talked about this in one of the Zooms, that same question you had, this would have been a basic question that I might have gotten on a in law school. I might have gotten this question in a constitutional law class during the middle of an exam. Like it would have been, I would have opened the book and it might have been the first essay question, and I would have had like 30 minutes to answer it. So like I said, so you guys had a week to essentially do it in law school. I had like 30 minutes to do. So you really got to do all that stuff, process it, figure out what you want your answer to be or what rule you want to apply. And then the thing about it, in the way I wrote the question, I kind of told you guys I kind of told you guys, I pushed you guys into a direction. So I told you guys, based upon, I have to read the question again. Anybody had a question out?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
I do have a question, but I just wanted to say, for the most part, I think I got the answer like 75% right, but I was really tripped up by that case that everyone was referring to, the one that, compared to the writing assignment. Yeah, so in my conclusion, I didn't particularly state, like, if it was if he should be convicted or not, just because that kind of tripped me up at the end. Will I still take an L in this, or like for the most part, if I got most of it right, would it still be?
Now the thing about it, you have to give me an answer. So I need to know whether. So let me go to the question one more time.
Like within my writing, I think the answer that I was leaning more towards is kind of like you can kind of see it, but I didn't like really state it as thoroughly as I guess I should have in the conclusion.
Hold on a moment. Yeah, everything's moving faster now. That was too far away from now. Yes. Okay. In response to this information, okay, hold on. Let me see. Okay, I said, Mr. Yu's legal team appealed his conviction to the United States Supreme Court on the grounds that the Protect This House Act violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution and is therefore unconstitutional. Should the Supreme Court affirm or overturn Mr. Yu's conviction based upon the constitutionality of the Protect This House Act? So I kind of gave you guys where to go. So I said that his legal team, they appealed based upon saying that was unconstitutional, and it violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution. So I wanted to put you guys. So before I wouldn't put that in there. So I kind of made so the question got easier and easier as I would teach the class on different semesters. So this is the first time. No, this is like the second time where I've kind of pushed you guys in that direction. So I definitely pushed you guys towards the Fifth Amendment and the equal protection analysis. So the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment are essentially the same. The 14th Amendment just applies to state actions. So all the 14th Amendment is doing is saying that the Fifth Amendment also applies. The Fifth Amendment equal protection also applies to state and local acts. So in this case, of course, this is an act of the federal government, so it's the Fifth Amendment. But then I said, should the Supreme Court affirm or overturn Mr. Yu's conviction based upon the constitutionality of the Protect This House Act?
Yeah,
And
that verbiage I didn't use the overturn and then the other one that you said. But I feel like the way you explained it made sense overall. Just when I saw that other case, it kind of made me second guess whether it was constitutional or not.
So the thing about these essay questions, you at the end of it, you got to give me an answer. So in this situation, it was whether or not it was constitutional. So at the end of all your analysis and everything, you need to at least at the end tell me either it was constitutional and you're either going to affirm the conviction because the Protect This House Act is constitutional, or you're going to overturn the conviction because it's not constitutional. So you only have those two choices. Yeah, so you have to give me something. Now, of course, when I grade your paper, if it at least leans and it sounds like you're saying something, I'll give some credit, but that's part of the getting the answer right thing. So that would essentially
that makes sense.
Would probably be 2 points off of not getting the answer right. So and that's the thing that's the way that's why persuasive essay writing is designed the way it's designed. Within the first few sentences, I need to either know what the issue is or I need to know what your contention is. Then when I go through your conclusory paragraph needs to match the contention. If you open up, so let's say if you had opened up by saying the Supreme Court should overturn Mr. Yu's conviction because the Protect This House Act is unconstitutional. That is a contention statement. That lets me know within the first 2 or 3 sentences that, hey, she thinks this is unconstitutional. Now I'm essentially following through and looking and reading the rest of your paper to see what your rationale was, what rule of law you applied. You apply strict scrutiny analysis. So that means you need to tell me what strict scrutiny is. You can even talk about what happened in the Korematsu case and why it sounds a whole lot like it, but it's different because of this and that. And then from there, you go into your analysis portion. And your analysis portion is where you might talk about the differences between this case and the Korematsu case, and how and applying the strict scrutiny test, how it isn't narrowly tailored because of this fact. We were fighting with Japan, but the law essentially made it illegal for all Asians to live within a certain, and that was a very wide brush. It wasn't narrowly tailored, and also it ended up affecting someone that was from a country that America wasn't even in war with. That's how overarching it was, how wide of a brush they painted with. So you talk like that, and then you say, in conclusion, the court should overturn the conviction because the Protect This House Act is unconstitutional because it violates the Equal Protection Clause and it's not narrowly tailored. It's based upon strict scrutiny. It's not narrowly tailored to meet a compelling government interest. So in that reading, I know it sounds redundant, like you told me your answer. then you tell me why, then you tell me again. That's how persuasive essay writing is designed. It's not necessarily like literary writing or like poetry or like or fictional writing where you get to go off on a story and it gets to sound a certain way. And persuasive essay writing is just like arguing. You want to know, like, hey, the reader needs to know what your answer is, or at least what the issue is within the first couple sentences. So, the best papers are the papers that only take me. It might take me. Some really good writers, I can literally grade their paper in like less than a minute because literally I can just flow through and almost skim it. Oh, I see the issue statement. Oh, I see the contention. Okay, let's see. Okay, the law. Oh, okay, boom. Or they're putting facts in there and I read through it and I'm like, oh, this is a good paper.
I have to work on that because like I used I seen where you were like we can use the Iraq method, and that's what I tried to do, but like because I've never written a paper like this. It was like I feel like my paper was like all over the place because like I tried to write my little statement thing, and then I went in kind of sort of explained.
Well, I mean, I haven't graded it yet, so we don't know how well you did. So you might be surprised. You might, I might be like, oh, that ain't bad. But I don't want you to be discouraged because you might not have gotten the right answer. So because I'm teaching writing, I'm really teaching you guys more so about how to spot certain things and then how to write a certain way. I do want you guys to get the correct answer, but as you can see by my grading rubric, getting the correct answer is far less important than your writing structure and at least being in the ballpark with the rule of law you're applying. So I don't want you to get hung up on that. So I'm going to go through and grade, and I'm going to send you feedback, and also I'm also available via email, and you guys on the syllabus, you also have my cell phone number. So please, if you want to reach me and have a conversation, text me first, because I'm literally all day. That's also my business cell phone number. So I'm also getting numbers from clients and 800 numbers and stuff like that. So please text first so I'll know I feel like picking up. Okay.
Okay.
That way I know it's because we all screen calls. You know that bill collector. Now bill collector's smart. They're using local numbers to call you now.
Legit names.
They're using legit numbers and stuff. You're like, oh, that's a 336, and they're like, hey,
nah, some
talk
of
to me
them
about
have
that.
actual names attached now. Like it's not
Oh,
you don't
wow.
see the 800 number. It's actual name.
That's crazy. So they calling you as Craig and them and stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They're getting smart. They're getting smart. All these
I gotta be smarter than that because I'm still not gonna answer.
But yeah, but is all hearts and minds clear? You guys good?
Yeah.
I know some people stayed on the call. Are y'all good? Miss Woodford, Mr. Williams, Peraza, Hatmaker, y'all good?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So I'm gonna grade these things, get them back to you. We'll like the thing about these Zooms, that's what these Zooms are for us to talk about things. So you got to think I've already lectured you guys because you guys had to just click on my lecture. So the point of the Zooms is for me to go back over some things I feel like I may need to go over again and to get field questions. So feel free. I want these Zooms to be open conversations about what your concerns are. Okay. So next week, especially once you guys get your grades back, you guys are probably going to want to talk about it some more. Let me see next week what we got next week. Yeah, chapter 7 will be up in the morning. No, it'll be up Thursday on the 24th, so it'll be available. And we'll be talking about chapter 7 next week, so we'll talk about that a little bit, and we can also talk about this again because by then you guys will know how you did grade wise. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, y'all be good.
All right.
All right.